Nothing gets a multinational corporation's attention faster than messing with its money. This is exactly what happened in late 2022, and it provides the clearest example of why Google's leadership remains wary of the Pakistani market. The issue revolved around something called direct carrier billing, or DCB, a simple mechanism that allowed mobile users to buy apps and services from the Google Play Store and have the charges added directly to their phone bills. It was a smooth, efficient system that enabled millions of Pakistanis to participate in the global app economy. For Google, it was a reliable revenue stream, amounting to a cool $34 million annually from Pakistani mobile operators. Then, the music stopped. The State Bank of Pakistan, the country's central bank, abruptly decided to revoke the DCB mechanism for international payments. This wasn't a move aimed at Google directly, but it had a catastrophic effect. Suddenly, mobile operators like Jazz, Telenor and Ufone had no legal way to send the $34 million they owed to Google and other international tech companies. From Google's headquarters in Mountain View, this was a massive red flag. The leadership saw a key market where, overnight, the fundamental process of getting paid for services rendered had been completely severed by a unilateral regulatory decision. Google's response was swift and decisive, a classic corporate power play born from frustration. The leadership didn't mince words. They sent a clear communication. If the outstanding payments weren't cleared, all paid services on the Google Play Store for Pakistani users would be suspended starting December 1, 2022. This wasn't an empty threat, it was a logical business decision. Why continue providing a service you're not getting paid for? The move sent shockwaves through Pakistan's tech and government circles. It was a stark reminder of who held the power in this relationship, and highlighted the immense risk Google perceived in the market's financial instability. Ultimately, after intense lobbying from the Ministry of IT, telecom companies and a public outcry, the payment was partially cleared and the immediate crisis was averted. But the damage was done. The incident left a permanent scar on Google's perception of Pakistan. For the company's leadership, it was a real-world stress test that the market failed spectacularly. It reinforced the idea that Pakistan's regulatory environment was too volatile and unpredictable for significant long-term investment. This single payment dispute became a cornerstone of the argument for limiting Google's exposure and services in the country, a cautionary tale told in boardrooms whenever expansion into Pakistan is discussed. If the payment crisis was about financial risk, the absence of Google's hardware, like the celebrated Pixel phone, is a story about regulatory and supply chain hurdles. You can't just walk into a store in Lahore or Karachi and buy a brand new, officially warranted Google Pixel. Instead, you have to navigate the gray market, buying imported phones with no official support. This isn't because Pakistanis don't want cutting-edge smartphones, it's because Google's leadership has made a strategic choice not to comply with the kind of local manufacturing or sourcing regulations that countries like Pakistan often require to boost their domestic industries. Google's entire hardware strategy is built on efficiency and standardization. They prefer to design their products in California and manufacture them in a few select locations like Vietnam or China to maintain strict quality control and keep costs down. This global supply chain is a well-oiled machine. However, many developing countries, in an effort to create local jobs and build their industrial base, have introduced rules that disrupt this model. For instance, a country might require that a certain percentage of a phone's components be sourced locally, or that the final assembly must happen within its borders. For Google's leadership, this is a deal-breaker. A perfect parallel can be seen in a recent decision regarding Indonesia. In late 2024, Indonesia banned the sale of Pixel phones because Google failed to meet a rule requiring 40% of the device's components to be locally sourced. Faced with the choice of either overhauling its entire supply chain for one market, or simply not selling its phones there, Google chose the latter. This same logic is applied to Pakistan. The cost, complexity, and risk associated with setting up local manufacturing or sourcing just to sell Pixel phones is deemed too high when compared to the potential revenue. It's a cold, calculated business decision that prioritizes global operational simplicity over market-specific expansion. This cautious approach extends beyond hardware to new sensitive technologies like artificial intelligence. The rollout of Google's Gemini AI, for example, has been deliberately slow and methodical, often bypassing entire regions like the European Union, initially due to complex data privacy and AI regulations. Google's legal and policy teams insist on full compliance with local laws before launching such transformative